Michelle, your take on the German elections, what happened and why they might matter to what happens here.
So the German market is higher today because it was the best outcome that people expected. We now have a pro-business leader in Germany. That's the good thing. Yep. The problem is he didn't get enough of the vote to be sure that he can actually carry out the things that Germany really needs. Germany has a broken business model. It's based on exports and cheap energy. They don't have cheap energy, and they have fewer and fewer exports now because China has now started to replace the things that they used to get from Germany. They need to redo everything there. And it's not clear that the German people are quite on board with that yet, or the politicians.
Fred Kempe, you were just there in Munich. You might still be there, for all I know, as a matter of fact, at the Munich Security Conference. I've been there many times. You talk to just random voters in bars, and guess what? They're really mad at Gerhard Schroeder, and they're pretty mad at Angela Merkel because they feel like they were misled on their economy. What's your take on the outcome of the German elections?
So I've known the new Chancellor, Friedrich Merz, for years. Michelle's absolutely right. He's probably the most pro-business German chancellor maybe we've had since the Federal Republic of Germany post-World War II. Certainly much more so than Angela Merkel. The problem is that he had the worst outcome. His 28.5% outcome for the Christian Democrats was the second worst outcome for that party since the war. The SPD, the Social Democrats, with whom he'll probably coalesce, had their worst outcome since 1887. Even worse than March 1933, when they had a very bad outcome ahead of Hitler's coming to power. And so the gains in this election were the far left and the far right. And so the far right AfD, the far left Die Linke, add up to 1/3 of the electorate. And that is a block for any constitutional change that could lift debt ceilings and allow Friedrich Merz to really get the economy going and lift the debt limits that he needs to lift. So it's going to continue to be a really messy political situation, but with a much better chancellor.
Speaking of messy political situations, France, you heard those comments between Macron and Trump, Michelle, this afternoon. What jumped out to you?
A number of things. Trump wasn't as dismissive of NATO as he has been before. He actually spoke positively about NATO. That would be an improvement for the members of NATO. Macron said when it came to a deal with Ukraine that they had reestablished deterrence when it comes to Russia. I'm not sure how that's possible. And then the other thing they think was super important was Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent was asked very directly by the president, where are we on a deal with Ukraine? He said, we're on the first yard line. So when it comes to doing some kind of equivalent of a lend-lease for Ukraine to have, help from the United States when it comes to restructuring post-war, if and when they get a peace deal done. Those are some of the things that stood out before they go on to do now the official press conference that they're going to do with the press.
And Fred, listen, you're not a markets guy, but I'm sure you look at the markets. You watch CNBC, you're a contributor after all. We know that. We watch the markets. We look at the data. And to Michelle's point at the top, these European stock markets, they've done really well the last couple of months, outperforming the United States. There's a lot of reasons why. But there does appear to be, for the first time in a while, some economic optimism around Europe, even with all their energy and security problems. You were just there. Do you feel that at all, or is that just, am I just wildly overstating it TV style?
Well, look, also the Chinese markets are outperforming the U.S. markets this year as well. So the multiples are good in Europe. So it's a good place to invest if you have a little bit more reason to invest. But you still have zero growth in Germany. And Michelle is also right. They've been hitting manufacturing, particularly car sector, by China as well. So I think it's a market where the prices are good. So I think one should be buying Europe at the moment right now. And particularly in Germany, what went up today was defense. So Rheinmetall is kind of the standard stock in the defense sector. And I believe that was up 4%. And so I think defense stocks are going to be where you want to buy right now, because across Europe right now, if you can't count on the U.S., all European countries are going to have to invest more in defense.